right, Shannon Vlogs 31 Days of Horror, day 14 with Benny. Hey everyone, it is Shannon, and I'm excited to share a new movie for the 31 Days of Horror. This one was a blind watch for me. It is on Netflix. I didn't know anything about it. I added it to my list a while ago. It has this woman who's like holding like a okay, things a bunch of stuff fell over, holding a light and looking like right, and so I'm like, okay. It's so hard with Netflix movies, like especially horror movies. I feel like it's such a crapshoot. Like they're all almost all of them are very low rated, and some of them are great, and some of them are not so great. And hey, I'm gonna spoil this. Not really, just by saying this was pretty great. I actually really enjoyed this one. It was nice to pick one that ended up being like, oh, this is a pretty good movie. So yay! What are my questions? What is this about? Okay, so we have a group of I think it's miners. Yeah, coal miners. And there is the sort of prodigal daughter comes home for a little bit. Her dad, it's his like next to last day or something like that, and she decides to come down to the mine with them because that's what you do, right? And then of course like in most horror movies, it all goes horribly wrong! Yes, that's right, it all goes horribly wrong. I don't know why I'm laughing when I say that. I guess it's just because you know that this is gonna happen in horror movies. Yeah, and so my next question is, was this horror? And like, yeah, it was. Like, not only is like the idea of like the certain it has a survivalist feel to it, it has a supernatural feel to it, the whole like being contained or trapped element. If you're claustrophobic, this is not a good movie for you because it definitely pushes on those boundaries, but it does it really well. I thought it was like the tension that they create because of that is really good. And so yeah, for me it definitely falls in the horror category, for gets several ticks there. um and did I enjoy? Was it scary? Was it scary? Yeah, I actually would say it was scary. It has some pop scares here and there, but for me, the idea is scary of being trapped, and then there's lots of weird stuff that happens that was quite scary, and then just this sort of tension level of like yeah, yeah, no, that gets the scary tick box for me as well. And did I enjoy it? I would say yeah, I really enjoyed it. It's a well done movie, so I really appreciated that. As I mentioned, a lot of times with Netflix movies, it's a gamble. It's not a Netflix original or something like that. I don't think they do original movies. It's just like I've never heard of it. It's semi-recent. I don't know anyone who is in it. Although I actually did know some people that were in it. Joey Kern, who plays Randy, I know him from something. I can't figure out what it is. I looked at his IMDb, not a clue. And then one of the guys who is in it was from Lost. And the main character, though, Kelly Noonan, who played Samantha, I didn't recognize her. She was very good. That's actually one of the things that made it an enjoyable film, is that the acting was quite good. Like you do get the sense of these like, and they had like it wasn't. Yes, I would say maybe it feels like stereotypes, but to me it wasn't really stereotypes. Like the group of miners was actually quite like a good combination of old miners and new miners, and those that had good relationships with each other and not so good. But they were a team and they had to work together, and it's a high stress situation, so they generally need to get along. So they got that vibe really well. And then the whole idea of her coming down and people not being, who was okay with that, who wasn't okay with that, why weren't they okay with that, all of that felt really really realistic, and well founded, and not well founded. One of them, of course, not well founded. There's always some superstitions you're like, seriously, but I think it's a well voiced superstition. But anyway, but like it really, that kind of really worked, and it was really interesting to see. Like I felt like you had the realism element to it of like the miners, but then there was also this whole other side of it that was a little squirrelier in terms of, because there was the supernatural elements. And I found for several of the movies I've watched for the 31 Days of Horror, you always have this. There's often this thing where you don't know whether it's supernatural or not. Like you don't like you know, like while you're watching the movie that's fine, but I kind of feel like afterwards maybe you should know, maybe. But the one actually I would say the one big challenge I did have with this film was that it is based on true events from 2013, and the film is from 2014. And I was like, wow, that is a really short turnaround time for something disastrous to happen to be made into a movie. So I hope that they were, you know, respectful of, you know, everyone involved. I assumed that they would be. Like it did I don't like that. One of the things I really appreciated about it was the characters. Like I felt like I really understood them. I felt like nobody was like a throwaway kind of like, I don't know, like often they have like that annoying character or whatever. They all felt like real people. So I hope they, if they went for representing the actual people, you know, I hope that they did a good job, because to me it felt like I really felt a sense of the people that were involved. Now the stuff that happens is, you know, pretty scary, pretty horrible, and like in terms of, and one of the challenges when you are working with something that's based off a true story is, you know, you start to wonder how much of this is true. Like I intellectualized it afterwards. I didn't think about this while I was watching it. Only a little bit, and I'll get more to that in the spoiler zone. But you know, you do sort of wonder how much of this is true, how much of this can be true. And once I've watched, because I've watched so many movies and I've seen especially a lot of verite style films, you know, which is, you know, you're watching a video camera footage kind of thing. You're like, who is watching this? How, like whose perspective is this from? So you start to think about it on a different level. And sometimes I try not to do that, and I didn't do that too much with this film, but it did come up a little bit. It didn't sort of change my enjoyment level of it, which was nice. But I think that's because the movie was so tense that I just sort of stayed with the characters and stayed with what was going on, and was like, holy crap, and like, oh my god, and like that kind of stuff. So yeah, I think really what made this a cut above was definitely the acting and the writing, and the cast of characters really brought it together. It could have easily been, you know, like just all cheap scares and flat characters, but it really felt real, which is kind of weird because it was based on a true story. Now I didn't research it too much. I don't remember the incident that they're talking about, so I'm just hoping that, you know, it's a good representation, or the people who were really involved feel good about the adaptation, because it's a horrible thing to happen. So I think with that, I think, oh, I rated it, it's actually, I rated it 8.5 out of 10. That is my rating for this film. I haven't always been remembering to do the ratings, so I'll try and put them on the videos or do a list somewhere, because people seem to be liking the ratings. And for me, this was 8 is enjoyable. I enjoyed the movie, and for me, it was an 8.5, so it was better than just enjoying it. I thought it was also a really good film. On top of that. So next up, we're going to the spoiler zone for just a few things. So if you haven't seen the movie, you know, check it out, and we'll see you at the next video. Otherwise, spoilers in 3, 2, 1. I look at my spoilers now, it's like mostly I'm talking about things I've already said, which I guess I don't think saying it's based on a true event is a spoiler, so I hope nobody thought that that was. But mostly for me, the spoiler was this sort of bookend version of like that it starts with, you know, that they found a survivor. So, but you don't know who survived, and you don't know how many people survived. So for me, it actually was okay. I wasn't thinking about it too much, but I did, as the film started to go on, I started to think, okay, who would survive, you know, and that kind of stuff. But my one challenge with the film that I alluded to before is this idea of not understanding, you know, uh, not understanding what happened. Was there something supernatural going on or not? You know, and I don't know if they know. Like this is what, because it's based on a true event. You don't, like, they may not know. But some of the things that happened, it's like, you know, people's eyes being glassed over, or seeing things that aren't there, or seeing things that don't, not like there's no evidence of later. Like, what's the explanation for that? Is it a supernatural thing? There were people that got you know, there were people in a cave-in at some point, so it could be their ghosts, or was it, you know, the effects of less oxygen or something like that? Like, I felt like I wanted something a little more, but again, because it's based on true events, you know, you don't necessarily know more. But then I question, like, when you see something that's not from the survivor's perspective, how would they know that that happened, you know? So, but I try not to think about it too much, because overall I wasn't thinking about it too much while I was watching the movie, which for me is a good sign, a sign of a good movie of this kind. So that was just a very small, I guess, spoiler, like of just, trying to figure out what really happened. So anyway, I would highly recommend the film, especially if anyone liked the show Ghost Mine, the reality paranormal TV show. This is definitely has a similar vibe. I should have said that before the spoilers. Oh well. But there we go. That is day 13 and Beneath. Thanks so much for watching.